Hi and welcome to this part 1 of the video tutorial on Wisenet Viewer Operation. I'm your guide Gordon of Hanwha, and in this course we're going to cover the following topics: logging in and managing layouts, the on-screen display functions, adding a web page, and part 2 will cover searching and exports. So we're going to have a look at the operation of Wisenet Viewer. So here I have my desktop with Wisenet Viewer shortcut on it, which I'll double click to open up Wisenet Viewer, and that will open up in a moment, like so. And I will log in with the administration so you can see all of the functionality of Wisenet Viewer, but be aware that you can set users so they have less functionality with Wisenet Viewer, and that will be shown in the configuration video. So I have Wisenet Viewer here. I'm going to go to the bookmark over here so that the events do not distract us. I have 2 NVRs connected to my Wisenet Viewer at the moment. One of them is currently offline, the other is not. So this one is online. And what I can do with that is I can bring in some cameras. And some more cameras. And as many varied cameras as I need. And I can create the layouts however I please and resize the images however I want them. I also have the auto fit button over here, so if I click on the auto fit, it's going to auto fit to the cameras that I have on the screen. So if I zoom all the way out and put a camera all the way up here, and I think I've used camera 1 again, auto fit, it'll auto fit like so. And it will do again like so. And once I zoom out, I can auto fit to fit it onto the screen in the way that I want it to. So I can drag in some cameras. Let's just drag in 4 cameras for now. And I'm quite pleased and happy with the size of those cameras. I'm just going to turn off the distracting events. But I also want another layout, so I can open up another layout and drag in another set of cameras. All right, so I now have cameras here, I have cameras there. What I can do, I can create a new window. And this window is another instance of the Wisenet Viewer interface with everything that's still there. This is handy for placing onto a second or third monitor. But I only have the one monitor to demonstrate with, so I'm going to close that for now. Each one of the cameras has an on-screen display showing some functions that you can do with the camera. So those are specific to the fisheye cameras, for example. So if I was to choose the fisheye camera, the fisheye dewarping is turned on because we've specified this as a fisheye camera on the NVR configuration. If I turn that off, it'll just act as a spherical image. If I turn it on, it gives me the single view, the quad view, panoramic view, and using the PTZ controls, I can pan through these as well. So for each one of them, if I go over to the quad, and I can move each one of those regions around independently. With a single view, with the PTZ control, and I can place where I want that single view to be. So that is a fisheye camera. If we were to go to a different camera, for example, we have crop view, and crop view will create a little region of interest within the scene, which I can then move around in the scene. You can see it over here. So if I was to make that much larger with the auto fit, and I can move around and see a bit closer up what the details of the video are in those areas. I'll just do it for one other camera. Actually, I'll do it for the same camera. But I can close those. And for example, we can do a crop view here. And this is like using a digital zoom on the camera. Now, that's quite low resolution, and the reason for that is the stream, which I can change with this one over here. So that is currently, let's get a closer look. currently on S. So here's the video profile. If I was to use the A is automatic, P is the primary stream, which is the high quality stream, and the S is the secondary stream, which you'll see is the lower quality stream. So you can already start to see the pixelation. This stream will run to my client much quicker. Automatic will run at high if there's bandwidth available and low if not, and primary will try to force the primary stream to me. And we can have a look at this. So with the camera status. So if you right click on the image and you check status, you can see here what the stream is. And when we change that over, that's the primary stream, the same as the auto stream, and the secondary stream, we'll change it to 640 by 360. There is also focus control. Let's make that bigger so we can see what we're doing. We have focus control. We can do a simple focus. If the camera supports automatic focus, that is. We can leave the camera to do that while we go to the next menu, and this will be the brightness contrast, which I can set, but in most cases it's wise to leave it as it is because the cameras are usually auto-calibrating in that regard. And then we have the local recording. So for local recording, if I was to start recording on this camera here, it'll record for a moment, for a maximum of 5 minutes according to my local settings. And that will record to my local hard drive, this PC's hard drive. You can see there is the video file. It's currently saved as MKV because I have set it as such in the settings. We have a fisheye camera. And if I was to choose one of the split views, single view or the panoramic view or the quad view, I can now get my digital PTZ. This doesn't change the location any physicality of the camera at all. The camera doesn't physically move, only the pixels that I'm looking at change. I should actually be seeing all of the pixels on this camera. That is a digital PTZ. The other type of PTZ, of course, is the full PTZ, such as in this camera. This is a PTZ camera. So when I click on the PTZ function here, I get PTZ control of the camera. And it depends how far from the center you push that line as to how aggressively the camera will move. Of course, we've got preset positions as well. So that will look at the front path or the reception entrance. And that's how to escape from the PTZ control. There may be times when it's handy to have a web page right on your display so that you don't need to change from Wisenet Viewer to your web browser in order to see a web page. It could play back a YouTube live stream, for example, may include the news so that it's alongside all of your video and it's not distracting and it's a part of the scene. So to add a web page, so under my system, for example, root, I can say add web page. And what I can do with this is give it type in the URL. I could have pasted it in, of course. If it requires an authentication or a login, you have digest authentication, you can enable it there, but it's not required for this particular website. And then it appears over here. As you can see, I've already added it once before. I forgot I'd done that. And there is my web page. And if I wanted to have, for example, our training web page on Wisenet Viewer, I could put the digest authentication in there and have myself logged in and learn on the Learning Center whilst watching and monitoring live video. And that is how you add web page to Wisenet Viewer. That was part 1 of the operation of Wisenet Viewer. If you haven't already seen them, go and find the following videos: Wisenet Viewer Overview, Wisenet Viewer Operation Part 2, and the Wisenet Viewer Configuration. Thank you for watching to the end, and I wish you a fantastic day.